Facebook Live. My name's Anna Rose. I'm the co-artistic director of Nothing Without a Company. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on our panel discussion about site-specific directing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you will soon. Also, make sure to put in your calendar, we're opening the Kid Thing March 16th, right across the way in the mansion. You might not be able to see it, but you know, past the trash cans. So please join us then. So let's get started. We have some awesome panelists with us. We've got Emma Couling, Rose Freeman,
hello,
also artistic associate, and Megan Richards.
Hi.
Awesome. So we are going to have some conversation. We want you to participate. If you have any questions at all, feel free to write them down, send them over. We'll ask our panelists for you. And also, if you're really into this and you're like, I want more people to be watching. Sorry, technical difficulty. Then please share. That's what we're just doing with my phone. We're sharing it. So we're gonna go down the list, and I would love for y'all to say your names again because they're pretty, and then any organizations that you're with, anything you're working on right now, and just like a little sneak peek of site-specific work that you've done. So let's take it away.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm managing director of Bring Your Own Theater Company, and we're actually doing a show this weekend at the Berger Park Cultural Center down in Logan Square. So it's 24-hour theater festivals that we do. I'm also directing Cinderella for Cinderella Studios, and that will be in May. And I think the most specific thing I've done is no exit out of the back of a U-Haul truck.
Ooh, yes.
I'm Rose Freeman. I'm an artistic associate with Nothing Without a Company and a company member of Third Eye Theater Ensemble. We will be announcing our annual show hopefully at the end of the month when we get everything closed up. So, stay tuned for that. Third Eye Theater Ensemble is that organization. Site-specific, I started off fresh out of college doing a very pirated version of Polaroid Stories. Sorry, Naomi. And then did Alice, which was around North Pond with Nothing Without a Company, and Punk Punk, which was a punk rock musical in a garage. And I think I've done one or two 24-hour festivals that were site-specific as well. And yeah, that's about what I got.
Hi, I'm Emma Couling. Pronouns are she and hers. I am an artistic associate with 20% Theater Company, with whom I am directing a workshop production of a beautiful play called Shake, Teeth, Shake in April. It's written by a playwright named Darcy Bruce, who's young and wonderful. And I'm launching a series of radio plays based on novels written by women that are in the public domain, with 20% as well, and that's going to launch this spring. We're starting with Pride and Prejudice, and then we're going to do Wuthering Heights, and then we're going to do Frankenstein, and then we're going to see where we're at. And the most site-specific experience I've ever had was that I directed the Pirates of Penzance aboard the tall ship Windy, which is a 4-masted schooner that sailed out of Navy Pier while she sailed on Lake Michigan for 2 years in 2012 and 2013.
Is she no longer in the water?
Oh, no, she's still in the water, but the theater
It's the
part
Red Richards no longer in the water.
I don't know what happened to the Red Ridge.
Sorry, I'm a tall shit nerd.
No, don't be a nerd. No, it's great. I'm also a tall ship nerd. Red Ridge, I know she had some problems with her hoe a while back, but I thought she was still. Thank you. I think she's still going.
Is she really?
She was last summer at least. I saw her out in the water more than once. And my sister-in-law, I believe, sailed on her last year, so she's still trucking along, which I think is kind of
Your sister or the boat?
both.
I'm just saying, I saw that ball on dry dock once.
So great banter, Rose. Good job. I know you're a boat lover.
Just with sailboats. I don't like motorboats. I think they're stupid.
Well, I come from a family of sailors, so we can talk.
Okay, well,
So, I just wanted to shout out this amazing panel of women, just because, women are awesome, right? So, okay, that too. I'm just curious, I'm really into site-specific theater. Obviously, I run a company doing it, but what is like really intriguing to you comparatively to like directing a show on a stage versus directing a show site specifically? What do you like about it?
I mean, more or less the convention of theater, right, is that the lights go down on you and the lights come up on us, and we have this story and we're separated from it, and it's very literal that you are pulled out of your immediate reality and into another reality. You loosen your suspenders of disbelief, as one of my favorite professors used to say.
I like that.
I think the fun thing for me about doing site-specific work is that in most site-specific environments, it's almost impossible to turn off the lights on the audience. I directed a production of Little Women with 20% that was in the back of a bar. Listen, it was great. But we did not so much as have a light switch. Like, you couldn't have a blackout to change scene. You had to figure out how to function around the environment and include the audience. And with Penzance, it was like, we had a cast of like 19, and at some point I was like, we just don't have enough policemen. You know what we're gonna do? Get the 4-year-old boy from the audience to come join us. Like it's about, I think, the visceral feeling of like it's impossible to not interact with the audience. It's impossible to forget that they're there. I think that's one of the many reasons why I find it so compelling and fun and intriguing.
Yeah, and I actually saw that show and it was amazing.
Oh,
I mean, partly because I'm obsessed with Paris Penzance.
How could you not be? It's like literally the reason I'm in theaters.
Really?
When I was like 7 years old, I saw Pirates and
Yeah.
a cannon smoke ring went over my head as I came over.
But then to do it on a boat, it's just genius.
Well, duh.
Part of me was kind of like, this scene's supposed to take place like not on the sea, but I'll forgive it.
Yeah.
But you can
Everybody's-
stop.
I made it automatically romantic, so that was helpful.
Yeah. I mean, plus, like, how do you get to see theater and be on a tall ship for, like, I think
Yeah.
the tickets were $30.
Maybe like 45, but yeah.
Oh, my wife paid for the ticket, obviously. So
Cheaper than the lyric.
Yeah, share those shakes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. What about y'all? What's the thing that like really?
I think because you have a ready-made world, so instead of having to create this illusion, it's there and it's real. And I feel like a lot of times that adds to the actor's experience as well, having that there for them can lead to deeper performances, which is always a lot of fun to see as the director, to watch everybody kind of live in this actual world and see what they come up with while being in there.
I mean, I can say being in a site-specific show right now, acting, I definitely love that. Yeah, it's a great perk. Kidding.
For me, it's twofold. I'm a big believer that theater is inherently a spiritual experience for audience and like performer and designer, basically any participant. And it's the idea of taking, to borrow words from another culture, of evangelizing, right? Instead of bringing them into the church, into the theater, we can bring the church to them, right? When I did Alice, the first time, a huge light switch went on for me when I saw children of fairly wealthy, well-to-do parents interacting with homeless men in a non-creepy way. They were just both experiencing, and it was in the trial scene of Alice in Wonderland, it was about a little girl who is in a legal procedure that is terrifying, nonsensical, unjust, and doesn't make any sense, trying to help this man. And who would both understand something of that magnitude and the terror of that than somebody who is experiencing incredible economic hardship, such as homelessness, or somebody who is a small child, right? It might be two very different reasons as to why they are experiencing that, but they are both experiencing that, right? And I don't see another way that we could so efficiently get these two communities to experience this moment and communicate that with them and then learn from them as well. I mean, in both of those runs that we did with Alice, I can't speak to the third one, but the homeless guys that lived in the gazebo, you know, it was rough at first, but eventually you're like, hey, we're in your home, we recognize that. Thank you for having us. Thank you for letting us be your guests. And they were like, we didn't invite you. Like, I know, but let us stay. Whiskey, please let us
I
stay.
have to say, you definitely bribed them.
Yeah, I just bragged the crap out of them. But as the run went on, they kind of became our protectors in a very big way, and they became very involved in the show. Like, if we lost a prop, 9 times out of 10, one of the guys would show up with the prop, be like, I went through the bushes and I found it. They would bring their friends to come see this scene specifically, and they became part of the show. The reader review of the first one included one of the homeless guys because he couldn't figure out if he was part of the show or not because he was sleeping in a hammock. And when I told him that, the guy goes, oh, this makes sense. This is why they could find me, talking about a social services agent right now, right? He was super excited. He had I brought him the review, and he like kept it with him, right? And that was a really transformative
He's
thing.
famous.
Yeah, or not. Like, he was part of something, right?
Yeah.
And we were part of his life for that moment. He was a great guy. And I think that's incredibly important, right? To have that community if we're going to actually look at what theater is capable of. And the other aspect of that is kind of the other side of the transformation is you can take what we take for granted in our everyday environments and make them magical and transform them into magical places, right? Like for Punk, we took a garage, which was a garage down doors, and we hid lights in there, so whenever the music started, we were allowed into the imagination of the women performing, and we were allowed for that magic to happen, right? Same with Polaroid stories. You know, we ran a 150-foot extension cord from my apartment to a park. And it was magical, right? Like, as the sun set, this narrative came to light as lights would come on in bushes, and you know, various aspects would happen, and glitter would explode, and one of the actors ran off and would accidentally hail a cab and then make the cab take her around the block because she couldn't get out of the cab again until she was away from the audience far enough to actually move forward. So I think there's those two aspects of transformation that can happen on an interpersonal level, as well as just the magic of everyday moments and everyday life, because we take those for granted, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so we kind of skipped a little bit, just because I was really interested in what y'all had to say about like your passion about site-specific directing. But so let's talk now about what site-specific directing means to you, because I think people are sometimes confused about site-specific directing. Also, immersive directing. There's a difference, but. So that question, and then I want to just verbalize it so I don't forget it, but I also want to talk about the fourth wall and if that is there or not, because I know that some people have verbalized to me that they think site-specific directing means, or site-specific theater means that there's no fourth wall, and so they have to participate, and they're like, no. So, yes, so let's go back to the fourth wall thing. What is site-specific theater, and how is it different as a director?
I'm gonna jump in here just because I think about this a lot, which I'm sure we all do. But crap, I'm important right now. Whatever.
McDonald's.
My McDonald's Coca-Cola with ice, which I've been wanting all day.
Treat yourself.
I did. I said yes, queen, as I ordered it. I was really excited about it. My standards have gotten so low. But there is a difference, I think, between site-specific and found space or alternative space. And that's something that, like, I don't think we have a defined vocabulary necessarily of that yet.
Yeah.
And
Good point.
right, because found space is you're going into at least I think about found space is you found a space and you're putting a show there, right? Where site-specific is a little different in the sense that you're creating a piece specifically for that space or curating a piece specifically for that place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree. The other way that I would put it is that found space is you find a space and you are trying to transform it into a theater space. So like you're trying to make your audience forget that they're in the back of a bar, or forget that they're on, at the Berger Park Playhouse, or like forget that they're on a boat. And that site-specific is when you use the aspects of your architecture to enhance your story. So rather than forget that you're on a boat, like handing you a rope and telling you to pull. Like,
yeah. And I think you can flip back and forth, right? Because I think sometimes you're in found space and sometimes you're site-specific within the same production.
right, it can depend on the scene and the intimacy of the scene and the moments of the play.
Yeah.
I agree with them.
Yeah.
We're in agreement. What happens when older women get in the room? We all agree.
That's
not
necessarily
true.
completely
Like a default.
We don't agree.
Our experience
We agree
is
that we
not
don't
true.
agree.
In fact, that's like where intersectionality comes from.
Right.
Like we're all coming from different experiences.
But as far as whether it's immersive or not, that's a whole other layer of conversation to play on. And I think, in my experience, I feel like site-specific work tends to be more immersive, but it's not always, and it doesn't always have to be. I think it just has a tendency in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, there's an inherent part of immersion that happens, right? Because you're in, especially the site-specific, you're in the space.
Yeah,
like
you're
in the
environment.
set.
You're gonna have.
Yeah, I mean, like even if you're in a theater where they've taken the set and built it out into the lobby, like that's the only other way I think you would be immersive, right? But
Which
you
a
know,
lot of theaters are doing nowadays.
yeah, which I'm pretty sure I was yelling about in undergrad for an entire year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they weren't doing it.
No, that we needed to do more immersion. Right?
And 10 years later, everyone's doing it.
You know,
Trendsetter.
does it count? Yeah. I just got the crust again. But I mean, yeah. I mean, have you experienced a piece of site-specific work that wasn't necessarily immersive? And I'm asking that curiously. I'm not asking that.
Well, when
I'm
we
taking
did
this to
No Exit, because of the nature of the show, it had to not be immersive. They had to feel like they were alone.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it was out of the back of the U-Haul and everybody was right there, there really was this disconnect between the audience and the actors. There was the definite fourth wall because you had to feel like there were just three people in the room.
So the way it's set up for you, was it just so I can imagine
I know,
the
I'm
show?
curious too.
So yeah, was it like
So
they
we
were in
literally-
the U-Haul on the stage and you're
Yeah.
looking into it when
Exactly,
you're looking up
and then
there?
they came down
I
every
get it.
once in a
I'm
while.
gonna
So
slow down.
we built a wall in the back of the U-Haul.
Mhm.
If that's illegal, we didn't do that.
There's like 6 illegal things already on Facebook Live, so.
It was just a 10-foot long U-Haul, regular U-Haul, and then we pulled the ramp down. So we had part of the set in the actual U-Haul,
Mm.
and then down into like a 4x4 space in front of it, and they would use the ramp to go up and down. But there was a definite sort of disconnect between the audience and the actors.
Did you drive the U-Haul around and like present it in different parking lots?
We did.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. We did 2 different performances because this was sort of, the company's called Truck. So it was our first, it was our inaugural thing that we wanted to do. So we did a parking lot behind the Fringe Festival, and then we did a park because it was in the middle of the summer and we could do that.
Yeah.
And it was really great because you had people who were just like walking their dog and saw us setting up and were like, we're gonna come to the theater! And then we came out, yeah.
And evangelism, right?
Yeah, and you would never have seen No Exit at any other point in their lives, but they came and saw this, which is really fun. But to get back to your thing, I don't think site-specific has to be immersive, so people shouldn't be scared off by it at all.
Yeah, and I also think like the thing about site-specific is that it's going to be any number of things. That, fundamentally, by definition, site-specific is not this one thing. That there are going to be shows that are site-specific and have the fourth wall. There are going to be shows that are site-specific and are immersive. There are going to be shows that are site-specific and are audience interactive. And all of those things are different.
Right. So for audience, the fourth wall isn't necessarily there, but is there sometimes.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Depends on the show.
Yeah, and the space.
So
right?
meta.
Right, and frankly, if that's something that makes you nervous, like the box office agents are your friends, and you should and can ask them hey, is this show interactive? And if it is interactive, is there a way to communicate with the cast that I'm not into it? You shouldn't have to do anything you don't want to do.
And I think, as a general rule with theater, performers are pretty good at reading nonverbal and verbal consent.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Right? When you're going, we're going to leave you alone because we don't want to fight you either, you know?
Especially with this type of theater, I think, because
You have to learn really quickly how to do that.
I think that's a big. If I notice that there's an actor that is uncomfortable just being around people in general, it's usually not the best actor to be in something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. But, and also, I think the actors who have a tendency towards this work and the directors who have a tendency towards this work tend to be very generous and very gentle and very, you know, if you walk up to them and you're like, come with me, and you say no, they'll be like, okay, great, never mind, and next person. Like,
Good job saying no. How about you?
they will make it work. By definition, they have to make it work.
Yeah. So, as directors, how is there a different process for you when you're directing a site-specific piece versus a non-site-specific piece?
Definitely.
Tell us about it. Tell
all of us about it. Welcome, Pamela and Hannah.
Hello.
Hi.
Let us know if you have any questions.
I spend a lot of time. It's basically like training, right? You have to train to deal with distractions. To go back to Alice, there was a moment where Alice was doing a monologue about she was in the well crying, and behind her was an otter in a pond upstaging the shit out of her. Like, he was having the time of his little life, being like, yes, you see me, yes, you see me, yes, you see me. And she's going on and on. She has no idea there's an otter back there. Like, she can't even deal with it. She doesn't know, right? So there's a sense of soft focus that you need to really hone in on. And it's a really tricky meditation, and I sometimes wonder if I'm asking performers something that is impossible, because you have to be able to be completely immersed in your world and at the same time be aware of potential distractions, incorporate them in very quickly in your movement, as well as be able to when to discard those distractions, right? Like when to focus and when not to focus, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of my process for outside stuff where like a homeless guy's gonna wander past or some bro's gonna come steal your hat, it's endurance training in focus, right? Where we spend a lot more time outside, where we're working with cute cuddly animals when we're doing a scene, right? Like when to deal with what is in live action happening. So I feel like I spend a lot more time training, as if like you're doing strength training or, you know, getting ready for a marathon, than anything else, than any other kind of performance, I guess.
For sure. You go. I feel like I talked a lot.
I mean, there's definitely discussions you have to have with your actors that you don't have if you're not doing a site-specific show, especially if it's outside. Like, what do you do if a plane goes by? Do you incorporate it? Is there planes in hell? Like, how do you ignore that it's there? Like, and there is a lot of training. Like, we have to speak louder than we normally do, and just the nitty-gritty sort of technicalities of being in a site-specific show, I think, change the way that you have to look at things, and especially when you start going into tech and things like that, where you're going to be. We rehearsed in a deserted lot in a warehouse district and hope no one found us. Again, if that's illegal, we didn't do it, because we needed a place to put the U-Haul truck. So you just like, there's all those really cool technical aspects that definitely change the way you look at things when you're a director of something that's like site-specific and really kind of out there in the middle of nowhere.
And there's some weird logistics too. Yeah. Like we always had to have rain delay plans, and because ours was traveling, so where we'd meet in the park a lot would change. When we did Polaroid Stories, there was a shooting because of where we were rehearsing was super sketch, so we had to create all these emergency plans. Like as a director, there's this process of endurance training, but as a stage manager, like you come out of there a champion. Like. I think all of my stage managers come out of those kind of shows being like, I've lost 20 pounds and I've tackled a bear.
It was interesting when you asked the question, my initial reaction was like, no, it's exactly the same. We do exactly the same amount of rehearsals and exactly the same, except for that we're on a boat. Like,
Did you rehearse on the boat?
Well, we sort of did. We rehearsed in various empty spaces of Navy Pier, unless we could be on the boat. And we sort of worked in concert with the crew and the captains of when they did and did not need the boat. And we rehearsed very early in the morning. You've never seen Navy Pier if you haven't seen it at 6 a.m. But there were, the crew also lived on board. So there was also that you had to sort of deal with, like, good morning, it is 6 a.m. and we will now sing an aria on top of your bedroom.
How's your hangover doing?
How do you do?
La la la.
Spreading them with
But on the
donuts
other
is that
hand-
a thing?
You can't
Yes,
say
we
that.
get a lot of pancakes in the kitchen. But I mean, they did take sale training, and that's the thing. It wasn't necessarily part of our rehearsal process, but if they wanted to learn how to sail, they could. And there were points where our pirates would like haul on the lines and help the sailors out, and the sailors worked really well with us. And I guess the other aspect of it was that when we would rehearse while she sailed, there was a lot of people like learning how to deal with seasickness and learning how to get their sea legs and like and my favorite
sing at the same
time and deal with the wind, which was hefty. But my favorite story about like that particular aspect of training
time
is that I'll be brief, but on opening night of the first year we did it, my Frederick really did not have his sea legs, and it was the day that whatever hurricane that year hit Chicago, and we went out anyway.
Oh.
And like,
How many knots was the wind?
I don't remember how many knots it was, but the waves were like 4 foot tall. And so I spent the entirety of it, like Chris Jones is sitting there like looking around, watching my show, and I'm like getting soaked, and I'm just like, this is the end of my career. And I spent the entirety of the show directly behind the young man who played Frederick, just sort of like punching him in the back whenever he was about to go overboard. Like, if you want to go that way, okay, you're good, okay, and we'll get to go that way.
Wow.
And so there was like that aspect, but like I didn't change much about the actual, you doing the thing. There were music rehearsals and blocking rehearsals and scene study rehearsals and tech and then a show.
Yeah.
Cool. What about the working with designers as the director? Was that any different? Was what you needed slightly different?
Well, I didn't really have very many designers because we were on a boat. We did have, I had two different very talented costume designers. And the second costume designer I worked with, Ashley Woods, is the associate artistic director of 20%, has become a very dear friend to me. And I do remember in my first conversation with her being like, okay, so it's like the late 1800s, and we're on a boat, and they need to be like dresses that look relatively period-ish, but are easy to get into, and also we're on a boat. And so they need to be able to move, and they can't wear corsets, and we're on a boat. And if it gets rainy, then they've got to be able to withstand that, and they've got to be like in the bright sunshine, and they've got to be able to handle that too.
So their costume designer was there with a can of Scotch Guard being like, nobody likes you.
I remember her like laughing, just getting closer and closer and closer to her mouth. Like, it's just but I mean, like that was I think the trickiest conversation of like I need high class period costumes that look really beautiful and can withstand Chicago weather.
And won't kill you over the lines.
And also on
Lines mean
very
things on boats, not
limited
lines.
budget.
Can I ask what the costume budget was on that?
Very limited.
Great. There was no comma to be found.
I don't know. It was not large. We had maybe 20 actors and like $300 to work with.
Shut up.
Wow. Yeah, that's.
I'm in the middle of crying over, I have to dress 16 nuns potentially for this next show, and I'm trying to do the math on how I'm going to dress 16 nuns under $500. Yeah, like 1800s nuns. I'm like, totally
Oh
scared.
no, I was like, this should be fine, and then you were like 1800s, and I was like, no,
Yeah,
it's not going to be fine.
and like one of them was like a fancy nun.
I remember costumes being an issue at Alice.
Yeah.
Because of the heat.
Wear and tear and smell.
Sweat. The sweat is the biggest problem. That stuff stains.
Yeah, you think stage lights are hot until you have an actor running a quarter of a mile while screaming like a puppet, fighting a homeless dude. And
Or like
then-
propelling from the top yard
Yeah.
in like 90-degree weather.
Yeah,
Like that's
like
also.
rolling
Or
around.
putting them in a giant metal box box in the middle of July.
Yeah, rolling in goose shit. Like,
I'm figuring out whether or not you can wear your period heels while you're going down the ramp.
no, you're gonna die. With lighting designers, with lighting designers, it's a little interesting because a lot of times we're using found lights. Like we're not using, you can't use like a Source 4 with a Go. Like it's just not gonna work. So that kind of creative thought process, it's more of just a collaborative challenge, right? And set designers, sometimes you just gotta reframe how that looks for a set designer because sometimes like an actual set isn't what's going to happen there. Instead, it's going to be a lot of dressing. So also kind of reframing that. And I feel like some of that is in the interview process where you just get it out of the way right then and there. Like, this is how you're going to have to creatively think about this project. Is that something you're interested in? If not, run away. Run as fast as you can because I think that is kind of a challenge when you have to step outside of that comfort zone as a designer. And I don't blame you for running for that.
Like first Alice, I remember
the set designer was not happy with how that was going. He was like, he picked his locations and then like he kind of made his props and then realized none of them were going to work because it was outside and raining. And like
I think there was like a long table he wanted to, and it was like, how are we gonna strike that?
Yeah, it was like, and like every idea he had would just get destroyed because we were also on a learning curve.
And no money.
And no money, and so it was like he'd like be like ta-da, and we'd be like, we'll try it. There's no way. Take it back. And at one point he was just like, why am I here? And I was like, I don't know. I'm sorry. Like, I have to take the hit on that one because I didn't realize that was going to be the complication of that. And I think at one point our lighting designer, we hadn't figured out how to use batteries just yet, but we were trying to like break into the electrical system of the park. We almost got electrocuted, so we decided against that. She's really brave and really awesome.
And then we didn't end up actually using lights.
Yeah, we just didn't use lights. In the end, we just ended up finding places where there was light. But the second time around, it went really well. But also, like, you learn really cool tricks. Like, recently I was just doing a festival where we didn't have access to the sound system, but we had a sound cue in our play. And we're the only play in the festival that has a sound cue because and I had another person in the show that works in found space. And he goes, oh, I have a box phone right here. We'll just take it to my phone. And like stuck it to his backpack. And none of us skipped a beat. And we incorporated the sound cue, didn't even think about it. And then as we were doing tech, I was like, I gotta run this sound cue quick. And the producer's like, you can't have a sound cue. And we're like, oh no, it's not you. And we did it. She was like, how did you? It didn't occur to us that was smart. Because we automatically would do it because that's what we've done 3 other shows. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, I feel like there's some directors that maybe haven't had as much training or use of using that kind of stuff and still want to do like, oh, this sound cue is done by the stage manager. Like, no.
that's adorable. Like,
I think a lot of it is, especially in design, you have to accept the limitations of your space. You can't expect it to look like a show or a proscenium, and you can't expect the things to happen that happen in a show and a proscenium because you can't hide the snow that's supposed to fall from the ceiling if you don't have a ceiling. Like, so you just accept it, and especially with No Exit, we very quickly realized that lighting was just not. Like, we have 2 giant spotlights and we hope the shadows aren't too bad. Like, that's what you do because you don't have any other option.
and it really made it look like hell, though.
It did.
I thought it was really scary.
I totally pretended we meant to do that. I was like, look at all those shadows that are part of their angst. And
Well, I think sometimes like, those limitations become really huge blessings.
yeah, they do. And they create really cool things. But I think sometimes that's what scares directors away from site-specific, too, is that they're not used to accepting those limitations and not having sort of the proscenium, which I kind of love. It's always fun to do that.
Fuck the proscenium.
I like working.
Do we have any questions?
We had a comment from Hannah who said, set designers become decorators. How do y'all feel about that?
I feel like I have about 6 designers I've worked with that just kicked a can if they heard that.
Oh, hear that, Hannah?
Yeah, because I think they're still designing, right? I mean, there is an aspect of
Limitations or new challenges?
This is still Hannah. Hannah's got a
Still
whole slew of
Hannah.
things.
Hannah's got a lot to say.
Yeah, I just don't think, I think decorators kind of limits what they're actually doing, right? Because I think you are still designing, and there are still lots of choices that can be made in the space that aren't limited to set dressing, right? You're still designing what your space is and how that is constructed, and you're still making really distinct choices about where, and you're collaborating with your director. If you're properly collaborating with your designers, you're having these conversations, in my opinion. You know, you're collaborating on where in the space it is found, and you're helping scout out that location, right? And that is a cohesive collaboration with your set designer that then extends into the design of the piece, which what a lot of times I think as performers or people on the end product of the collaboration see as a decoration, but that's not, that is the end of it. That is the frosting on top of a very complicated cake. If that collaboration has been holistic and throughout the entire process.
Designers also are very particular about how they name themselves. Like, they like the word designer.
And I think they should be
Yeah.
particular, because a lot of times they kind of get kicked around. I mean, I would prefer that they're called co-directors, right? You know, my medium as a staging director is the movement of human bodies on space and the cohesiveness of a narrative. Their medium happens to be the space itself, or the sounds that we're hearing, or whatever that is. I mean, they are equal collaborators. We all have the same boss. It's a producer.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think that, like,
That's a whole other
that's a
conversation.
whole other conversation.
Let me ask a question about site-specific directing. So, there's always that, because I'm a producer, always looking for spaces, for me, there's always that question of, do I find a space first, or do I find a space for a particular script? So, what do y'all think about that?
I mean, for me, it's always been like, start with the idea. Start with the idea and then move forward. And if the idea is like, you know, I want to do an operetta on a boat, and then you have to find the operetta, then go that pattern. Or if the idea is like, I want to do an dance on a boat, then you find a boat and go that pattern.
Yeah. What came first in your situation?
So here's the thing about this production. Originally, I was not the director of this production, and I think he might tell the story differently, but the way I would tell the story is that when I was in 7th grade, I wrote a whole paper about wanting to direct Tides of Penzance aboard a boat. And my brother Orion, who's the artistic director of Edge of Orion.
I didn't realize brother sister. Okay,
yes,
connection.
There are very few Coolings in the world, so we are definitely related.
Cool.
I remember him and I talking about this when I was like 11, and then we became adults. And he was an adult when I was 11. He's 12 years older than I am. He decided to produce this on Tall Ship Windy back when he was sort of leading the program there. And originally he was going to direct it, and then just the way that auditions played out and his vision for what he wanted from the Pirate King, we ended up casting him as the Pirate King instead. And I was like, like with respect, like, don't be the Pirate King and director. Like, that's not a good idea. And he was like, would you? And I was like, yes, I would.
That's the most beautiful fucking story I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Congratulations that he could acknowledge that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, the thing about, in particular, that production and his role as the Pirate King was that it really meant something to those of us who were putting it together, that the Pirate King would be able to, like, well, repel from the top mist, which he did.
For sure, that was amazing.
And there wasn't a lot of crossover between like the sailors and the performers. There was some, and there were some other sailors who joined us in the production. But we trusted him most with those kinds of stunts. He's also a stuntman, and that's the thing. So that's sort of how like that landed. But there's other productions where I've been like, here's what you need, and this is the idea. But I don't think I've ever like walked into a specific space and been like, this place needs a play, and then went and found
I do that
For
all
me,
the
it's
time.
always been like, play needs a space, and then I find a space.
Oh. See, I think I get overwhelmed by how many amazing spaces there are, because a play should be everywhere in my brain. But what do y'all think?
I mean, with truck, it was literally, we're gonna have a truck, what do we put on the truck? And you can't do a full production of Les Mis out of a 10-foot U-Haul.
I bet
So,
you could. I bet actually you
that
could.
is-
And I bet that it would be dope as hell.
it would be real cramped.
I think it would be
I just put it
great.
on the
We could actually make we could actually make the barricade.
Exactly.
Oh.
Build the barricades out of the U-Haul.
Yeah. Sorry, we got
Get the
excited.
little flag out of the driver's window.
Sorry.
I can turn it around a little bit.
Hannah has faith that it could be done.
Thank you.
Alright. This is the next project.
I'm skeptical.
But yeah, with the truck, we looked at plays and we were like, what would fit in a U-Haul? And really, No Exit kind of fit into that because it is this isolated and this very small world that we thought would lend itself really well to the space. So we kind of went opposite of the way you did, and we had the space first, and then we found the show.
Awesome.
I'm trying to think how this has happened to me.
I know you had that awesome opera in your apartment.
We did, and that came, that was opera first. So like we knew the opera.
Which opera?
It's Cox and Box. It's actually,
Oh,
yeah.
Mario.
Oh, I love Mario.
Mario was my police sergeant in year 2, and he was in my ensemble year.
He's perfect.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, so it was
I adore him.
Mario and Jordan Phelps, and Mario came to me, and we were working on...
Dave Fink.
And Dave Fink.
Hi,
Who
Dave
was my
Fink.
police
Come
sergeant
here.
year 1?
What?
Who was my police sergeant year 1?
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Okay,
Hannah
so
saw the
okay,
one. Hannah, she called out Dave Fink.
We saw him.
We love Dave Fink.
Hey, Dave Fink. Actually, Dave Fink is right now busy acting in another show at my play festival.
Right now.
Right now. So
We'll link
he's
this to
not-
him later.
Yeah, you'll see it later.
He better.
No, but that came because Mario was like, I have this operetta, and I want someone to do this. And we need to do it in an apartment because that's where it originally was performed. And I read it and I was like, oh, we're going to do this in my apartment because my apartment is adorable and I don't have to negotiate access. So we like crammed a piano in there and did it. And we fried the bacon during the bacon lullaby in the kitchen while Jordan sang on our beautiful gold chaise a lullaby to bacon. And we just kind of put people around and it worked really well, and we had very understanding roommates. I had incredibly understanding roommates.
I'm currently
Yeah.
looking for an apartment for next season, by the way, if you are into apartment theater.
We need an apartment. Good plug. So that one was like that was like opera first. That was show first, and then space came. Actually, I think now that I'm thinking about it, all of them have been show first for me.
Yeah.
Because Alice was like, oh, we need to do this, and we'd like wander around a park somewhere, and you were the one who was like, and I got the park for you. And same with Punk Punk. It was written for a garage because it started as a 24-hour festival piece, and then became, and then we had to find a new garage for it that could accommodate everybody when it grew. And then with Polaroid Stories, we knew we wanted to do it in a park somewhere. We just didn't know where. In fact, we had to change locations last minute because of the shooting thing that happened. So yeah, I guess they were all project first, and then I also, like, a lot of times I'm not the one that comes up with the idea. It's like somebody comes to me and they're like, try this. I was like, I don't get it.
That kind of segues into a question I had about 24-hour work and site-specific work, because we've done, I think, 3 now 24-hour play festivals that are site-specific. So one at Mary's Attic, one at the bowling alley, Timber Lanes.
You've done 4.
And one at your house, the
Yeah, we did
Lesbian
one at
Lounge.
the Lesbian Lounge at my old apartment, which then hosted an opera. God bless those roommates. I need to write them all a letter.
Yeah. Where was the
I love
other
And then
Thank
the
you.
Firehouse.
Oh, Firehouse,
Yeah.
yes, which is so. And I think that doing site-specific 24 hours is really fun. Tell me your experiences with it.
Well, that's kind of my wheelhouse. So BYRT does a 24-hour theater festival every month.
Jesus.
And yeah.
It's this weekend. So sometimes we do site-specific stuff, and sometimes we don't. Right now we're nomadic because our old home got turned into condos. Yeah, but we've done some really cool things, and what's always fun is that the writers don't know the theme until Friday night. So they write Friday night, and then we rehearse Saturday, and we put up the show. So a lot of times we'll incorporate where we are into the theme. Like we were in Bucket of Blood bookstore one time, and they were lovely for letting us be there. And a lot of the themes and the stories were incorporating books and the bookcases and things like that. So it's always fun to see what our writers do with the space they're given, and then what our directors can do within the limitations, where we have a scene that has 5 different doors in a bookstore, and how do we make that happen, and how do we get the audience to follow along with us. And it involved a lot of climbing over audience members, if I remember correctly, and using bookcases as doors, which was always a lot of fun. But I think site-specific and 24 hours work really well together.
Me too.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and that's like.
Is there anything as like a director for the 20? Sorry, I'm excluding you on this person. Is there anything that you ask the writer to keep in mind as the director when you're talking about the work and what you're kind of wanting from it?
Nah. I let them run free, and then if we run into a problem, right, like I'll try anything, and like I'll run my head into a wall until it hurts, right? So I'll try it, and if it doesn't work, I'll call the writer up from their nap, be like, hey, you broke me into a wall, get me out of here. Or how did you imagine I would get out of here? And if they're like, then like, we got to yet. But yeah, I'm not gonna tell them what to do. They can see the space, they can see the limitations, and they can go from there. And it's in our mutual best interest that we don't try to do something impossible, or if we do try to do something impossible, we pull it off. So.
I think a lot of it is just asking them to, again, respect the limitations of the space. So, like, maybe not 50 sound cues in a 10-minute play. We have one very dedicated technician in the back with, like, a laptop. So, like, there's certain things that you just can't do, but we always find new and interesting ways to get it done. A lot of times it involves cardboard. It works really well.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little more of a stickler when it comes to site-specific theater than some people. I'm like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense here. And I'm just like, I don't want to try to figure it out. It doesn't work. But y'all are way more nice than I am, yes.
Hannah says there's a writer rule. If you write a prop, you better already have it or know where to get it.
Ooh, I like that
That's
rule.
super real.
She's also
Yeah.
a producer person.
Hannah
so it
is
makes
everything.
sense. Yeah. Are there any other questions from our...
Everybody says hi, just a lot of comments. This is probably one of our best videos that we've had so far. Lots of comments, lots of views. So
Great.
thank y'all for
How much
sharing.
more time do we have?
It's about 8:15, so we have about
Okay,
15 more
great.
minutes.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you were like, this is so site-specific theater directory?
I saw Sleep No More in New York finally.
Wow,
You haven't seen it?
Whoa!
I've also seen it. It's amazing.
It killed me. No, it was really cool. It was really, really cool. I'm still processing it. Although I feel like I was one of the people that came out of there being like, all right, you did your thing. Because I've done so much site-specific work, that I'm a snotty little asshole about it.
You can see the wires. That's one of the dangers of being in
Yeah, it's also the cool thing about being
Yeah.
there, right? No, but it was really beautiful. They transformed this hotel. For those who don't know, look it up.
It's
I'm not
amazing.
going into it right now.
Hannah wants to know if you ate the candy.
I was going to ask
I
that.
totally ate the candy.
She totally ate it.
Yeah, it did not do anything weird. I just had some candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ours was kind of
Right.
stale.
There's like a whole candy shop in there. where
That's
you can, like,
disappointing.
eat candy.
That is
That
disappointing.
sounds really good.
Still
Yeah, it's really cool.
candy.
It was kind of like a theme park horror house, haunted house. That's the word I wanted, without it actually being scary, just suspenseful. And I have issues with suspense anyway, when I'm really stressed out. And I was in New York, so I was feeling stressed. So I was like, I don't know if I should do this, but I had a great time.
Well, what I loved about that show, and I haven't seen it in as much in other site-specific stuff that I've seen, is that it was very movement-based. I don't really remember a lot of dialogue, but I remember seeing a lot of story and like really feeling like there is something going on here. I'm not sure what it is, but it's really interesting.
My friend that took me, shout out to Tony Maki, has gone to that show 3 times, and she's completely seen different shows every time. Yeah, it was just you're right, I liked the movement aspects of that. I'd actually like to incorporate more movement into my work as a result of that. But I wanted to see more dialogue. Like I wanted that kind of, I don't think it's necessarily that kind of show, but I did want some moments of actual talking that had a little bit more narrative to it. I also just like narrative, so.
Yeah, I'm like,
You've seen it?
No. I haven't been to New York since I was knee high to a grasshopper, but people just talk about it all the
That's the
time.
cutest phrase.
Yeah, I heard of it from other people.
I mean,
But I have
it's a lovely experience.
I have a dear friend, my friend Ben Fisher wrote Speakeasy, which is a pretty big damn deal in San Francisco. It's along the same idea, lines as Sleep No More. You're brought into a speakeasy environment in the 1920s, and you all meet all of these different casts of characters, and they take you through this whole situation, and it's different every time. He said he wrote something like 1,500 pages of dialogue for this, which is insane. And he's doing it's not announced, so I'm not going to spoil it, but there's something coming up at Victory Gardens that he's going to be doing with us that's kind of site-specific, so you should keep your eyeballs open for that.
Great. What space would it be in if is it in a theater space?
I mean, it's in ours.
She's allowed to say.
Spoiler alert.
But
Alright.
I think that idea has become really pervasive, and people. I mean, I think my concern about Sleep No More is that everybody keeps trying to do Sleep No More, and it's not easy.
Okay, so I'm assuming that everyone here's at least heard of Westworld.
Yes.
Watch the first episode.
Is-
Master of
This came up in the
I can't
site-specific
do it.
playwriting panel discussion
Well, because
too.
it's about
just
the same way that Sleep No More. The same way that Sleep No More is kind of like a
I'm
theme
not-
park, like a theater theme park. Yeah, I'm kind of I'm into it, but it's a soap opera, right? But the same way that Sleep No More has that theme park quality to it, but it's like a theater theme park where there's scenes happening and you're kind of part of it or not part of it, right? That kind of journey and all that dialogue that you have to write for it, and all the many loops and possibilities. I feel like Westworld's kind of exploring that, so I would not be surprised if we see a huge insurgence of these kind of theme park style theater events where you're on these loops or that
immersive
haunted.
theater experience.
Yeah, the experience instead of.
Well, and the flash mobs have been really prevalent.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's kind of going that direction.
Or there's also my best friend John used to obsess about incidental public theater that mini plays that you can do on a train that you get on the train, perform a scene that lasts just as long from Addison to Belmont, and then you get off and you go to the next car and you perform that scene.
I see that all the time.
On the train, right? But on purpose.
Yeah.
But we're
Not
personal
just
and actors, not real life.
Yeah.
That's I think that the example he uses is an example from Star Wars, that there's people who will cosplay up as members of the Empire and Darth Vader, and there's one scene that fits perfectly between train stops that they'll just go into and then move. Which is brilliant, and I think that's also wonderful. I think site-specific, the thing that's fun about site-specific art most of the time, unless you're on a boat, is that it can be public, that it can be public works of art that you're going to reach audiences in ways that you never would if they had to come to you.
You're bringing the church to them.
Right.
I mean, that's an awesome pro, but there's also some cons to that.
Oh, totally.
Because we, for the first 5 years of existence, we could not get a mailing list together. Because, I mean, you have 30 people randomly show up and come and watch this thing, but then they all scatter skizzle, and you're like, but don't you want to know more? Okay, bye.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
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 It's
You gotta
gotta
do that before you start the
future of immersive theater and incidental theater and site-specific work is.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see how, because we're small scale in a big way. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which means that we're about 2 years ahead of the people who make money off of it are, right?
Right.
So as we come up with new ideas and we start developing, we know that that's what's going to get blown out of proportion. Right?
Yeah, but do you think site-specific would work on a grand scale? Because I feel like site-specific and immersive really, one of the reasons it works is because it's so
It
intimate.
requires intimacy.
It requires intimacy. So if the big companies or the big people who are going to make money off of it, do you think if they tried it, it would be the same thing, or do you think it would fail because it doesn't have that intimacy?
So I think that it's important to remember that there's a difference between grand scale and lots of money.
Yes.
So like a grand scale of having an opportunity to present this to thousands of audience members at one time, like maybe not. To be able to charge like $200 a ticket to have a very prestigious actor do site-specific work in front of you, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
I think both are going to happen, and I think the grand scale thing has happened in the past, is going to happen again. What was the Soviet theater production where they reenacted the entire siege of the Red Army on the palace? It was like 5,000 actors that they brought in and performed in like the early 1900s, right? Like this is...
They flooded the Coliseum and put boats in it.
Yeah, like we've been doing like ridiculous stuff for a very long time. I mean, even or the Great Fire Disaster of 2 years ago with Corbin. But that's site specific, right? Like we're going to have this conversation and celebration of Chicago history, and we're going to make a tiny mistake about what kind of wood we used.
So we're actually, Nothing Without a Company is doing monthly happenings where we bring in either a solo artist or another group that needs a space to do a show for one night only. And we actually have a group called TLDR. They're very, very new, but they're doing a performance not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday at 8 in the mansion across the way. And it's a pay what you can performance. And they're exploring what it means to do immersive, site-specific internet theater. So, I haven't seen the show.
Are they going to give us like a really truncated version of what the actual larger one is?
They're very new.
How many hashtags are we talking?
They're still figuring out their shit. But it might be something interesting if you're interested in learning how other people
are exploring it?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll show them.
So, do we have any other questions on the...
Hana wanted to point out Sleep No More is grand scale and tons of funds.
Hana is completely 100% right.
And tons of fun.
And super expensive.
Yeah,
I saw that ticket, pooped myself a little bit.
I believe our ticket was $90.
Oh, mine was like $135.
Oh, okay, we saw it a few years ago. So.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we only have a few more minutes left. So I'm just curious if y'all
like 2 minutes.
If y'all have any shows or spaces in particular that you have always wanted to do a site-specific piece. Just what are your thoughts?
I've been like two things. They're very similar place. I've been like biting at the bit to do bucket Leipzig in a cathedral.
Yes, please.
Please God, someone give me this opportunity. It's all I want.
Well, we are taking submissions for our season next year.
Oh, let's talk
with Kevin.
It's an incredibly beautiful play about the concert director at the Church of Leipzig has died, and he's sent out all of these cryptic notes to former students, and they all think that that they should be the next concert director at the church. And everyone in the play is either named like Johann or Georg, and so like 98% of the jokes are like, which Johann? This Johann? That Johann? We haven't met that Johann yet. And it's all just, it's written in the style of a fugue, and you don't understand it until they lay it out for you at the top of Act 2, where your main character is like, this is a fugue of a play, and that I am your first melody, I'm the first character you met. and this is how my melody plays out. And then you're introduced to the second character, and he is the second melody, and on until you play it all out. And of course, inevitably, spoiler alert, but also like hashtag history, Bach got the job, and that's how Bach became famous and well known, but he never appears in the play. He's only ever known as like the best organist in all of Germany, and he appears as like a shadow at the end of Act 1, and that's it. And it's beautiful and gorgeous, and it's it's like if Amadeus was a comedy. Which brings me to my other thing, which is that like all I want in the world is to direct Amadeus in a concert hall with an orchestra and a chorus. So that last scene, that last moment with Salieri and Mozart, when they are writing the final piece, that you can hear the singers and the instruments come in and literally surround you and the men as they're writing the piece that inevitably
Similar to the noise right now.
Yeah, similar to the noise right now, except for in Latin.
I just did your budget for the Amadeus.
So much money.
Girl,
The only way that's ever going to happen is if my university asks me to come back and I can use like the university orchestra and the university choir.
Zero.
Okay, what about y'all? What are your dreams for site specific?
So one of my friends lives on the stretch of Winona, right off of Broadway, and almost every single building there has a balcony. So for the past couple of years, I'm just like, I just want to do like all the balcony scenes and let people kind of roam around, and like Evita's over here and Romeo and Juliet is over here, and like he's screaming Stella, and like it would never work because we'd have to get all of those people to agree to give us their houses. But
Contract with housing association. So serious.
Yeah, it would be so much fun, and every time I walk down the street, that's all I want. Also, the musical theater nerd in me wants to do Secret Garden in a garden, but
every single time I see any kind of fire staircase, I'm just like, wait, who's doing the specific West Side Story? Anybody?
Right. Where's Maria?
Two things. One is the effect of gamma rays on man in the moon marigolds. I really want to do in an abandoned grocery store in a food desert in Chicago. Food justice is definitely one of those things that drives me crazy, like food injustice. And I feel like that would be a really great way to explore lots of socioeconomic issues all in one go. And then have incorporate the local Boys and Girls Club or local organization to have the kids do a science project and do a science fair before every presentation of the show. That's been a proposal dream of mine that I've hit up a couple aldermans about. So anybody who's an alderman listening to this, right after we talk about the CPAC, I would love to chat.
And what, you had another one?
Sorry. My other one is, I'm kind of still formulating this one. It's a thought I had about 4 months ago, and I'm still working on the proposal. But Midsummer Night's Dream has a really beautiful ballet about it, as well as a symphony, as well as, of course, Britten's opera. And the opera in particular, if you've ever heard Oberon's, he's played by a countertenor, which those playing along know is a tenor that's even higher. And the most beautiful, haunting sound a human voice can make, aside from maybe certain parts of Minotti's writings for mezzos. But I would really like to take Oberon and Titania's opera arias in there, and then incorporate clowning and various other elements in a clubhouse, or like not a club, like a dance club, and incorporate and hire in a DJ to design Chicago house music, which of course is set to the tempo of your heartbeat, and it's a love story. So it would be like this whole incorporated thing of incidental aspects of this show with house music playing underneath that would be designed by a DJ that would incorporate those other elements.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I think it's dope as fuck, but like I still gotta, if anyone steals it, I'll kill you.
We have it documented that it is Rosa's idea, okay?
Trademark.
And when you show up dead and I get arrested, I'll be like, not so long.
So it's also not a single. So on that note, thank you all so much for being
Thank
you.
part of this panel. Thank you to everyone who watched and who's going to watch. Please like our pages, Nothing Without a Company. We also are .org, we're a nonprofit. You can always donate to us, and we got lots of stuff coming up. So hope to see you soon.
I'm gonna say one thing. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. We have panel discussions monthly here, and our next panel discussion is on sexual harassment in the arts. Hashtag not in our house, and that's going to be on March 22nd. So if you know anybody who wants to participate on this panel, or if you would like to participate on this panel, please contact us. I think it's a really important panel to do. And thanks again for watching. All right, say bye.
Bye.